To learn about the off-grid lifestyle and to be inspired to live your dreams, click subscribe so you don't miss anything. Hit the bell notification. I've been asked many times, why don't I have a solar generator? Now, before I get too far into this, I want to explain what a solar generator is. They come in different prices and different wattages. I think you get them at 500 watts or 300 watts or 1,000 watts. And what it looks like, some of them look like a regular generator, similar to this. Now this is a gas power generator. And so when you start it up, it starts to produce AC electric. So over here you'll see plugins. And so it runs and I can plug appliances into it. What I use this primarily for, two things, is my well pump. I use it a lot for the well pump. Although I could use my solar panels, but like cloudy days like this, I wouldn't be able to use it very long. And then I also use it to run a car battery charger. You can buy them at Walmart, those battery chargers. On cloudy days or like especially in wintertime, I plug the battery charger in here and then I can charge my batteries from my solar panels. So what a solar generator does, it's very portable, just like this one that I just showed you. You can move it anywhere. But instead of using gasoline, it has a battery in it. And I think it's a lithium ion battery, actually. Those Battle-Born batteries, you may have heard of those. They're lithium, and they run about $1,000 a piece, roughly. You can find cheaper lithium batteries, but I don't know that much about those cheaper ones. So what you have to do is then you have to charge your generator, your solar generator, off solar panels. Now, you can plug them into the wall and they'll charge through the wall also. And so you have this battery basically that now will run your appliances, your refrigerator or a fan, just different things. Now, the biggest thing I think about these things is they're $1,300. This is the last one I looked at. You can buy them cheaper, but of course the cheaper you buy, the less wattage you get, which means less run time. So you really have to do your homework if you're wanting to buy one of these. Now with a gasoline generator, granted, I have to have gasoline, but the one I just showed you is $500 at the Tractor Supply Company. Mine's a Champion 2,000 watt inverter generator, which is exactly what the solar generator is. It's an inverter generator. So it makes DC battery into AC through an inverter. The thing you have to ask yourself is $1,300 worth it? The other question is I live off grid, so I already have solar panels. So is it worth it for me to do that? So I have about 1,000 watts of solar panels. So on a cloudy day, I can generate 1,000 watts or 1 kilowatt of electricity every hour. So it's kilowatt per hour. And what I do with that electricity that the solar panels collect is I store it in batteries. And I have 4 lead acid batteries. Now I know a lot of people say, oh, you can't use lead acid batteries. Well, actually I use the cheapest battery you can find from Walmart. If you know how to maintain them, they'll last 4 or 5 years. They're about 80 bucks a piece, like I said, at Walmart. So these are my solar panels. I got 10 of them. I need to cut some grass, but they'll do fine, even with the grass covering up on them. I put them on the ground to keep them cooler. Long story, don't want to get into that again, but I got 10 panels, 100 watts each. And so that energy goes into my camper here where the batteries are. Then the batteries discharge into what's called an inverter. So let me explain this. So I have solar panels, Rich Solar is what I have actually. You can get them off Amazon for like $80 a piece. And then you go and get yourself a charge controller. That's the big step that I think people get so confused with when it comes to solar panels, is you got to have a charge controller, which is no big deal. It's just the step between your solar panels and your batteries. Don't think of it any other way. That's all it is. It determines what your batteries needs. It also determines what your solar panels are putting out. So once you have those two things isolated, it does all the work. So then it charges the batteries. Okay, so now I'm underneath the hood of my pickup truck. So from the batteries to the next step, you have what's called an inverter. An inverter changes DC electricity to AC electricity. And don't get all wound up about that. DC electricity is simply a battery, direct current. And AC electricity is alternating current, which is the thing you plug in, the wall socket in your house. So that's what it's doing. It's just inverting that DC to AC. So I'm underneath the hood of the truck. So what I'm going to show you here is I have my inverter right here plugged up kind of haphazardly into my battery. So the red wire goes to the red wire, the black wire goes to the black wire. It's that simple to set up. It's not hard at all. Now I have a very large inverter. It's 2,000 watt inverter. The other one I have is 1,000 watt. I use that one primarily for my house because the larger the inverter, the more energy it takes in standby mode, meaning if there's nothing running, it still uses electricity. So I shut this one off and I just use it for my well. It's also a good backup. In case my primary one goes out, I still got this one I can back up on until I get another one. Now you can buy these, not this particular brand, but you can buy these at Walmart for like 80 bucks. Now, there's different sine waves, true sine wave and modified sine wave. Don't get too messed up on that. Modified sine wave, there's a few things I can't run on it. Well, actually only one thing I can't run on it, and that's my hair clippers. But I've never had a problem running anything else on it. My fridge has been running on it for years. With your car battery, you'll be able to run house appliances. Now my car battery is in pretty bad shape. I'm only making about 12.3 or 4 volts right now. It's bad shape, and when it gets down to like 12.1 volts, then I'll worry about replacing it. But right now it's doing fine. So I want to show you now that I have my fan here plugged into the inverter. The inverter's plugged into the battery. I showed you that. And then the fan is plugged into the inverter. And so now I can turn on my fan and easily run an appliance. Now it's my understanding, at least on the set that I looked at the name brand solar generator that I looked at, this does not come with a solar panel. It's just the suitcase with the battery and the inverter and the plug-ins. So that's all there is. So you still have to purchase the solar panel. So $1,300 for a suitcase. In my opinion, if you want portability, because that's the advantages of a solar generator, is the portability. If you're wanting portability, then I would suggest buying the $500 generator. This generator does make noise. That's going to be the argument. Well, the solar generator doesn't make noise. So $1,300 or $400, $500, depending on where you buy it and when you buy it, for a little bit of noise. This generator is called a quiet generator, a suitcase generator. It runs at 52 or 53 decibels. That is the same as a conversation level. It'd be like me and you talking. So it's not that loud. But if you're still worried about the sound, then yeah, the solar generator is absolutely quiet. I think it runs a fan, so you'll hear the fan. But this really isn't that loud. I run it a lot. No one's ever complained about it. And I had this when I was a nomad. Well, I had another one just like it. But anyway, yeah, these are the kind I've always had. I don't see the purpose in owning one of these, even if it's just for an emergency situation. I mean, if we think about this, well, I only need it if the power goes out. Okay, I understand the disadvantages of having a big setup like I got. If you live in an apartment, then maybe the solar generator makes sense. But if you have a piece of property and you can put solar panels on your roof or in your backyard like we did, I think the advantages would be significant. You wouldn't necessarily ever have to use it. It could always be in standby mode, charging your system every day. The batteries wouldn't go bad because every day they're being charged up. And when you need it, you just plug into it. However, even if you just wanted to run a few appliances off your system, just to get off the grid a little bit, let's say you just wanted to run your refrigerator. You can run your refrigerator, and then when the power goes out in the middle of the night and you don't realize it, your refrigerator wouldn't go out. Or your freezer, maybe a freezer, you got a lot of meat in the freezer, and you're concerned that you're going to lose the meat if the electric goes out. Let's say you're at work, electric goes out. Of course, you know, that freezer's going to maintain things for a while, but the solar panels would just keep running. That freezer would never shut off. So there's a significant advantage to having your refrigerator on solar panels all the time. So it wouldn't be a backup, it would always be there. Never have to worry about it. And you also reduce your electric bill because your refrigerator or your freezer isn't on your power grid. Now, a lot of people say, well, you need a backup in case something happens to your solar panels. Could never imagine anything happening to solar panels unless I had a hailstorm that broke the panels themselves. But remember, the batteries are still there. And I can probably get 2 or 3 days off my batteries without charging them. The solar panels just top off the batteries, you know, every day. Every day the sun comes up, it tops off the batteries. Of course, there are other systems that you could have in place of having solar panels. You could have a windmill, or you could have hydropower, if you had a creek or something, or you could have a hybrid. I had one of those before. I had a little wind generator and solar panels. But here in the part of the state of Missouri that I'm in, it's not very often that there's much wind. So I didn't see the reason to invest money into a wind generator when solar is all I really need. It makes more sense to me just to go ahead and get another solar panel or 2 or 3 or however many I want to add on to. I know there are a lot of YouTube channels that get paid by these solar generator companies to push this product. They're all the time, and I've been offered to push the product, and I decided not to do it because although it would have been profitable for me, it's not something I would use. It would just be in the way for me. I just couldn't ever imagine using it. I got the generator, I got the solar panels. It doesn't make sense. So that's my take on them. There's only a couple advantages. You know, they're quieter than the quiet generator, which is the one advantage, but everything else just seems to be not an advantage. So I hope I can inspire you to be careful with marketing tactics when you're living your dream. Thanks for watching.